Hello, my lovely Flosstube friends. Welcome back to the channel. A very warm welcomes to you all. Finally, it's time. It's time for me to share my 2024 Flosstube plans. Now, as I call them Flosstube plans, that's only because I'm sharing it with you, but it's my plans. And yeah, I love to plan. I love to plan, even though I know that the likelihoods are that these will be broken. I like to have something to aim for, some sort of benchmark. And then I always reflect at the end of the year to see what worked, what didn't work, to then come up with new plans for the following year. This year is no different to any other year, except this time I'm probably going a little bit more drastic than I've ever gone. So, welcome back to my lovely subscribers. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me and to come and see what I have in store for 2024. If you are new to the channel and you've just stumbled across this video or you've watched some and you like what you see, please don't forget to hit the little subscribe button and give me a little thumbs up to let me know that you like it. Now, I'm ahead of schedule here, people. It is like the 22nd of December and my plans are, they're together. I've got them. I'm like, I feel like I'm in such a happy place. Normally, I don't actually get to do this video until somewhere between Christmas and New Year because I'm usually running really quite behind. This year, however, I've been all over my whip parade, my review of my year, and then what I was going to do to sort of make things work for me. So, buckle up, people, because this could be a long one. So much is going to change this year. So much so that when I say drastic, it's drastic for me because I've never done this. So this is going to be new. It's going to be very new to do this. So where to start? Let's start with reflections of 2023, shall we? Now, I've got my notes here so that I can refer to them because otherwise I would totally forget what I wanted to talk about and I will go off at a tangent. So, reflections on Flosstube. I have now been on Flosstube for 9 years. 9 years. Wow. What a long time. And what a journey it has been. I started this channel back on the 7th of August, 2014. And you know, when you look at where you was then and then you look at where you are now, it's huge. It is a huge step. Everything about me probably has changed. Everything that I ever thought I would do, what I would stitch, what I would get drawn to, what I was capable of doing, what limitations of my ability there were, all of that has changed. There is no limitations, it appears. It appears that I honestly believe I could turn my hand to almost anything. Whether it would look professional or not is a whole nother matter, but I'm not scared of things like I was back in the day. So that is a good thing. 2023 for me was not a good year for my whips at all. But, she says, it was a fabulous year for finishes. Although they were smalls and they were new starts, exactly what I said I was going to do. I was going to get all my Christmas stitching done ahead of Christmas. It appears that that was all I had time for, but that's life. You know, when you've got a family and you've got responsibilities as a parent, to a daughter, to a mother, to family requirements, to work, to commuting. Unfortunately, something has to give. And I'm starting to get that now. I'm starting to accept that, you know, if I'm too busy with work and I'm too busy with life, then I don't get to stitch. It just makes me want to do it more. And then it makes me itching to do it. I must admit, although I have missed my stitching terribly, whenever I did actually get some stitching out and do some stitching, I felt like I'd really accomplished something, purely because it had been so long since I'd, you know, pulled something out or got to stitch on something, or other than smalls and Christmas gifts. So yeah, I'm not overly disappointed with myself now that I've done all my reflections and I've really sort of had a good think about things. Yeah, I'm in a good place. It wasn't as expected for 2024. I had a very brief look through my notes that I did for my 2023 plans. And I shared a portion, well, I shared that on Flosstube on my end of year parade last year. I started watching that video and I was laughing myself silly because I was like, what on earth was I thinking? Did I honestly think, even though I knew I was going to have 2 bosses, that I was going to have that much time? Yeah. No, I didn't. And it reflected in the stitching massively. But lessons have been learned, as always. I do love it when lessons are learned. And when we sit here on Flosstube and we're talking about our plans, you know, a lot of us sit there and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know, we've got these big plans, but we're also not deluded. We really don't honestly think we'll necessarily get every single one of those tick marks. If we did, we would be smugly chuffed. I would be smugly chuffed. But the realization is that, you know, you might get most of them, just not necessarily all of them. So yeah, I'm not setting my goals too high. I have done that in the past. And then I wouldn't say I felt terrible, but I felt a bit sort of disappointed with myself and with the fact that I probably could have done a bit more, but I didn't. I'm not going to be setting goals in that respect. Not this year. Also reflecting on 2023, my mum towards the latter half of the year has struggled with some additional health issues, which plays a very big part in my life. And yeah, she's needed a little bit of extra TLC, you know, a few more dinners, a few more cups of tea, a bit more social time and a bit of chatting. So again, all of that, you know, I don't take my stitching down with me when I go to my mum because I want to give my mum my sole attention. I am giving you my sole attention, mum, I promise. So again, that plays a part. The girls, yep, you know, the little fur babies. So the little bonbons having a surgery. She needed lots of cuddles and obviously confinement. So again, there was a lot more extra TLC going on with the girls. I'm pleased to say that so far she is looking good. She is looking good. She's got a little bit of a hobble when she first gets up and gets going, but to be expected given the surgery and then the break straight after the surgery. So again, that had an impact on 2023. So when I've sort of balled it all up as to, you know, why didn't I do all the things that I set out to do? It's like, well, there's a whole long list of stuff as to why you didn't in the first place. I started 2023 with 26 whips. I had 14 new starts in 2023, including all the smalls. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of whips, right? That is a lot of whips, I think. But then I had one long-term whip finish, which was my summer ABCs. And then I proceeded to do all of my Christmas stitching, which consisted of 9 finishes. So that was the 2 Leela Studio jumpers, sweaters. Let's not get into that. Someone asked on my Flosstube, what is the difference between a jumper and a sweater? I think we designate them slightly different here in the UK. So the jumper is what I'm wearing, where it's a jumper. This is a jumper. A sweater to us is like a tracksuit hoodie. That's a sweater. So, but I think that in the US, I think your jumpers are sweaters. I'm not quite sure what your hoodies are. Maybe they're just called hoodies. But here in the UK, a jumper is one of these. And a sweater is like a sweatshirt. It's a sweat thing that you know, it's like a hoodie, that type of thing. There we go. Told you we would be veering off in all different directions here. So I did my 2 Leela Studio jumpers. I did my 2 Christmas cracker finishes. I did my first ever Shepherd's Bush stocking. And I did my 4 little sledges. So yeah, go me. So although there's a whole lot of whips there, you know, 26 whips carried over plus 14 new starts, that's 9 finishes. Well, it's 10 finishes. It's 9 new start finishes and then 1 old whip finish. Now, probably should have been the other way round, that I should have got 9 old whips finished and 1 new start. But hey, I'll take whatever it gives me. My oldest whips that I still have going are from 2016. I know. How many years is that? That's like 7 years. They're 7 years old. And that is Evening in the Park and Alternative Reality. So that is 23 in a nutshell. A whole lot of whips. Quite a few old projects that have been seriously neglected. A lot more new starts than I anticipated. But a quite substantial set of finishes, even if they were smalls. There we go. So that's the reflection of 2023. What am I doing for 2024, you say? Well, I've never done this before, and I'm gonna try it this time, because you know when you've got so many whips and you come in and you're like, should I do this or should I do that? Well, I should stitch on that, but I don't really fancy that. I want to do this. Do you know where I'm going with this? Is that should I do this or could I do that? But I should do this, but I want to do that. It's that scenario. So to try and alleviate some of that, I've decided that it's time for me to trim down on my whips. Now, I'm not saying I'm UFOing anything, because I am so not doing that. Because almost everything that I've got, all of my whips, I love them all in their own right, and I love them all for different reasons. And most of them is quite an eclectic mix. I do have quite a mixed bag. It's not like I just sit and stitch samplers, or I don't just do full coverage. I have a lot of everything. So the plan. So the trim down. So I am going to focus on 14 of my 29 whips. The other 15 whips will go up in the cupboards up there along that top bit. You probably can't see it, it's out of shot. I've got a load of cupboards up there. The other 15 whips will go up in the cupboards out of sight to allow me the time to focus on my selected ones. So I've had to, you know, it's been really hard to make these decisions, I must say. But the decisions that I made were based on, okay, when I've looked at my spreadsheet, because I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use to monitor how much I'm stitching on what over what month, and then I can see a grand total at the end to show me what have I trended towards, what have I done, what have I not gone anywhere near, those sorts of things, which I find helps me make all my decisions for the next year. I will share a little bit about the spreadsheet further in the video. But the plan is to focus for 2024 on Evening in the Park, because I've decided that that one has to be finished in 2024. I said it was going to be finished in 2023, and it so was not. It so was not. 2024 is the year for Evening in the Park. And to try and help me sort of do that, I'm going to try and work on it on a Sunday, at least one Sunday per month, if possible. Like I said, I'm not going to make my rules so strict and rigid that I just want to steer away from them and run in the opposite direction. I would just like to make it so that if I was to say to myself, well, okay, you need to stitch on Sunday, not every Sunday, but if you can do one a month, that's great. If I can do 2 a month, that's great. If we can do 3 a month, that's amazing. But you see where I'm going with this. I'm just making it so that I've got a feel for what I should be doing. So that if I come in on a Sunday and I go, oh, what shall I stitch on? I say, actually, I haven't stitched on Evening in the Park this month. And I did say I'd do 1 Sunday a month. I'm more likely to lean towards it. So that's how I'm doing this. But it's not rigid. Evening in the Park finished for 2024, however, that is totally rigid. That's not moving. It has to be done. For my commute stitching, my high heels collection only needs 1 more shoe to make it a finish. And I'm like, you know what? I can do a shoe. 1 shoe, and I get another finish for 2024. So that is also going to be a bit more of a focus piece. As well as my lovely Alternative Reality. My plan is to try and push this forward in 2024. There is no chance of me getting it finished. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I'm like, you know what? You just need to try and move that bad boy along because it's so old. So for the 14 whips that I am going to carry into 2024 as active whips. Now, I'm not going to call the other ones anything else. These are just active. These are the ones that I'm going to keep out in plain view for me to pick and choose from. So nothing rigid. I'm just scaling it back a little bit. All of the others are going to go in the cupboard. They're not UFO'd. They'll just, the plan is that I'm going to switch them out as I finish something. So anything that's in the active ones are the ones that I'm allowed to stitch on through the course of the year. And then if I get a finish, I can pick another one. Now, there is a bit of categorizing that's gone on here. I have decided that I can only stitch on one chatelaine. So Evening in the Park needs to be finished before I can continue on with, say, my other chatelaine, Frosty Knot Garden, which is already started. Fancy Men, Mermaids, Ladies, the fancies, I've decided 3. For my full coverages, the full coverages was so hard. So hard to decide. Because there were so many of them. But I really like that one. And I like this one. But I like that one. But I really like this one. I really had to try here to pick the ones that I'm like, do you know what? What are the ones that you really lent towards? That you thought, oh, that would be lovely if I could get that out and stitch that. Versus, it's okay. I really don't fancy that one today. That's how I'm having to pick them, because if I had my way, they'd all be out, in which case I've not downscaled anything. So the full coverages, I've gone with 4. I know, only 4. So 4 full coverages are in the mix for 2024. I have gone with 3 samplers. I've got my Afghan, which I started in 2023. That one is going to be in there. It will probably only get stitched in the colder months because it's too big to have lolloped all over me. But I definitely want to get a wiggle on with the Afghan. I've also gone with a general category. Now, general is basically everything that doesn't sort of fall into any of the other categories that I can work with. Currently, there are 4 of those. On top of that, my plan is to try to do an ornament a quarter, because that way at least I might get some ornaments in the mix for me. I've not really thought too hard or fast about what I'm doing for Christmas presents for next year. I might try and scale it back. However, they were such a raving success again this year that it may be a case that I may just need to do some, but try and find some small things to stitch that are quick and easy finishing. Not quite sure on that. I haven't really bashed that out in my head, but this year I'd already said that I was going to do all of these Christmas things and I was going to start them very early in the year. 2024, I'm not going to do that, because by doing that and making it so that I could only solely stitch on those until they were done, made it so that I felt that I couldn't go and stitch on any of my whips because I'd said that I need to get my Christmas finishes done early. It didn't work. Really didn't work. So ornament a quarter is what I'm planning. Whether it actually happens or not, I do not know. But at least if it does, I might actually get 1 or 2 for myself. And then anything else that I stitch above and beyond that, that's ornamental or Christmassy, it's an extra little tick box that I've checked. And also my crochet. So I am still working on my Noel Sadar crochet along. Obviously, I am way behind everyone else. I was never planning to sort of follow the weeks with them. I've downloaded all the videos so that I can do it at my leisure. But at least that way I can just, carry on and hopefully have a Noel blanket for 2024. That would be nice. That would be nice. So that just gives you a quick feel for how I've sort of broke everything down. So let me share with you what whips made it to the list, because that's always a good thing. So let's have a little look. As you can see, first one up is my Halloween Quaker by Leela Studios. It's being stitched on a 40 count, hand dyed by myself. And I'm stitching this, I think I'm stitching it 1/1. And I really like it because it's Halloween-y, it's different. Yeah. You know, when you're just like, I'm really feeling this one. I haven't got it out because I felt that, you know, I can't be stitching on Halloween when it's not Halloween time. But I'm starting to realise that it doesn't have to be Halloween time at all. I'm just wondering where I'm going to put all these things now. So the next one that made it, and you know that I made this one because I've added it to my focus pieces. She says, here it is. It is my high heels collection. I've got 2 shoes and there's one more shoe to go at this end. So this is going to be a focus for commute stitching as and when we go back. And like I say, one more shoe and that is a finish, people. It would be nice to get a finish in 2024. Okay, I'm not expecting 9 or 10. But if I can get more than 1, I will be very happy, because that way I know that at least I've got a couple of finishes, right? That's how I see it with my little brain and the way that it works. Next, what else made it? What else made the cut? So my Winter White Santa Mirabilia, this one also made it into the mix. Let me get you the details. So Winter White Santa is being stitched on a 28 count Lugana Tempest by Chromatic Alchemy. And he was seriously neglected. And I'm like, it's time he came out. I'm planning on doing a bit of stitching on him. I keep saying this. I'm going to do a bit of stitching on him this year, like this winter, over the festive season. But then, yeah, I'm like, every time I say that, it just doesn't come to fruition. So, but love him. Love him. So he is in the mix because I really do need to push him along a bit more. The next whip that made it into the cut, she says, you got it. It is my full coverage duck. This was a new start for 2023, but I absolutely love him. And I absolutely love stitching on it. I'm looking forward to like getting his little face in, and then I can start working in my usual staggers. This one is being stitched on, what is it being stitched on? It's being stitched on a 28 count Lugana by Fortnite Fabrics in the colorway Cute. And I'm stitching it 2/1/10 stitch. So there's a little bit of stitching under there as well. So yeah, really looking forward to spending a bit of time with my little duck. So this is what I mean. There's no rhyme or reason. I have not sat there picking only old projects. It's not like I'm like, okay, everything that I've been stitching on for years is staying in the mix. I've not done that because that's where I am in my head. My head tells me you shouldn't be stitching so much on newer projects. You should be trying to get the older ones finished, which I agree with. But then I'm like, well, actually, to get the most out of me and to get more production in my stitching is, what are the things that you really want to stitch on right now? Because I'm finding that I'll be stitching on the things that I really love now. We'll get, I don't know, close to the end of this year and I'll be like, I'm bored of stitching on these now. In which case I'm like, actually, I can flip it around. I can do stuff. It's much easier for me to focus on. What else is in the making? What else is in the making for 2024? Now, I don't get me wrong. I didn't just randomly pick all these out of a bag and go, right, okay, the first ones that fall into my hand are the ones that are gonna. There was some planning and sort of thought process that went into this. I assure you. So next up is my Bella Filipina Tabataha. I think that's what we're calling it. I've made quite a lot of progress on this through the course of 2023. Predominantly, most of it has been done when I've been at retreats because there's quite like blocky colours and yeah. I love stitching on her. So I'm like, well, then she needs to be in the mix because I've really been drawn to her, which is what I like. If I'm drawn to it, it makes me want to stitch it more. And that's where I need to be. That's the aim of the game for me at the moment. So Tubber's a Heart is being stitched on a 28 count even weave in the colourway Atlantis by Pulse Stitches. And I'm doing it 2/2, and I'm doing the skin 2/110 stitch. So the skin is 2/110. There's the skin. And then everything else is 2/2. So yeah, really looking forward to spending a bit of time with her. See? I do love it when I have a plan. I'm like, do you know, can't say I've ever remembered feeling this excited. I've always been a bit excited about the plans, but never this excited to be like, oh, I want to go stitching. I wanted to sit and stitch all the time on everything, because now that I've sort of made it in my head that actually you haven't got that many now. It's not like you're having to make decisions between different ones because it makes sense versus what's right versus what you want versus what you should do. To me, it feels like I've just took all that away. I'm feeling like I'm in the right place. Next, it's another full coverage. This is The Wall Shop by Lucy Pittaway. Again, Heaven and Earth design. It's a good blocky colour one. Although that looks like it's all the same colour, it's not, I assure you. There's a lot of different blues that are in that one. So The Wall Shop was started in 2022. It's being stitched on a 28 count easy guide. And I'm stitching this 2/1 half cross. The only bit that I'm not overly keen about, but I'm having to grin and bear it, is the fact that I'm stitching this with CXC threads. And I'm finding that I'm not liking the CXC threads. But I'm like, I'm going to have to persevere because I've already done all this. And I'm like, I'm not starting it all over again in DMCs. So I am going to persevere. And as part of that, it will probably tell me, if this comes out to play, it tells me that I can get my head around the fact that it's not DMC. And even though it's CXC, I thoroughly enjoy stitching on it. So therefore it still gets stitched. If I find that I barely touch this, or if I touch it once or twice and then I don't touch it for the rest of the year, that sort of tells me that the CXC threads are a problem, in which case I will need to rethink. So yeah, see, there's a method to my madness, people. What else made the cut? I hear you say. It's the Afghan. I mean, look at the size of it. It's just a huge blanket. I love it. I love the fact that it's a blanket. So let me show you this one on the overheads. Here it is. Even got my little pumpkin needle minder on there. I love the fact that it's giant stitches. You know, it's like throwing a needle at a dartboard is really the only way to describe this. So absolutely love that. It's only been started in 2023. It was started on the 17th of September 2023. It's on an 18 count fireside Afghan, and it's worked with 4 strands over 2. And I'm really looking forward to spending some time on that over the winter months. I don't think this is going to be one that will get stitched much in the summer because it's just going to be too hot. I've tried to stitch in hand. I can't do it. I confess, can't do it. I've tried. I tried all different ways as well and still can't do it. So I'm like, it has to have the little Q-snap in it. And I'm thinking that at the moment it's fine because it's in the top left-hand corner, so I can roll it all up one end and then just sit and stitch. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work once I get sort of further into the blanket in the middle. But we'll play that bit by ear. But the Afghan by Witchell made the cut, so that makes up more of my progress. What have we got here? What is this? Now, I haven't got a picture of, well, I have got a picture of this. I'll pop a picture in here because I haven't actually got the stitching because it's on a frame. I don't want to pull the frame out. So the next one that made the cut is this one. Again, Heaven and Earth design. It is full coverage. It's the stocking Deer Creek. Artwork by Donna Gelsinger. The camera keeps trying to fade in and out. Sorry about that. It's, although it's full coverage, it's a stocking. So for me, I'm like, well, it's not full coverage. It is a stocking. So, and I'm doing this one on an 18 count Magic Guide Ecru, 2/1 full cross. What I like about this one again is it's the 18 count. The 18 count is what makes it so that I'm like, yes, because, you know, if I've got tired eyes, or a lot of the other ones, when I think about it, a lot of the other ones are like 28 count, 25 count. So I am finding that I am really enjoying and finding quite refreshing working back on like the 18 counts, like where they're like dartboard material. You know, you could throw your needle at it and you'd hit the hole. That type of stitching. So I am really liking the fact that I've got a good mix. I've got a mix of 40 count, 28 count, 25 count, 18 count. Love. What else made the cut? We're getting down to the bottom here, people. We are getting down to the bottom. So next, she says, the next one that made the cut for 2024, you guessed it, it is my Long Dog Sampler Tap Dancer. This is my easy stitching because it's one thread. I've got it, I'm being stitched on. So it's a Silks for You thread in the colorway PR109. And I am stitching this on a 25 count Lugana in the colorway April Shower by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This is my easy stitching, but when I don't really need to use any serious brain power. I love the colors. It's easy to see when I'm stitching it. It's also easy to just, not worry too much about the counting, just do a spot of stitching. I love it. So that one also made the cut. I like the fact that I've separated this down so that I've got a little bit of full coverage, a little bit of sampler, a little bit of fancy something, just because it's nice to have. I want to have choices. I don't want to be, I can only stitch on one lady, one sampler, one full coverage, because if it gets too restricted, I'm like, I'm bored with all of those. I don't want to stitch on any of those. I can't do that to myself. I do like a little variety in my life. And because I'm the sort of person that loves to flip and float between things, making it too strict just will not work. It just doesn't and won't. It never does with me. If I say that I have to do something and it has to be that or nothing at all, I'm the sort that I'll be like, well, I really don't fancy it, and I don't fancy it so much that it will just be nothing at all then. And I can't do that to myself. So the next one that has made the cut is my lovely Magwayan. So this one again is a 2023 start. It was started on the 1st of January 2023. It's on a 28 count Lugana, hand dyed by myself. I made pretty good start on it, and then I got distracted with Christmas and other things. So yeah, I am more than happy with how that's coming out, and the fact that it's staying in the rotation for 2024. I'm hoping to get a bit of a wiggle on. So the final project, if you've done your calculations and you've counted how many samplers, how many of this and how many of that I've shown you, you will know that I haven't shown you my chatelaine evening in the park. So we've left the big one till last. I think I might have to just roll back and show you this on screen, because I can show some of it on the overhead. In fact, let me do that. I'll show you some of it on the overhead and then I'll hold it up so you can see. So this has been receiving some tender loving care outside of my house. I know, right? So the lovely Susie took this home and agreed to stitch some more of the trees for me to try and help move it along. There's still some spaces for some additional trees, because I do know that there are a few people at the stitching retreat that said that they would still really like to do a tree for me. So I sort of said to Susie, well, don't do them all. Don't do them all because I need to leave some for others. Because, yeah, the more people I have on here for my stitching, the more I love the idea. So let me give you an overhead of this one. So let's flap that back. There we go. So I think the last time you saw this, I had all of this done. We had some trees done here. I've got an additional tree that is finished here. And then I have over on the other corner, another 2 trees over here. But obviously no corner. The corner's not finished there. So that leaves 1 tree to go here. And 2 trees to go here. And in between those trees are the lanterns, which I will look after. But yeah, it is glorious. I love. So let me show you it in its full glory here, because it's rude not to, right? Rude not to. Okay. So this is where it's got to. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees done. I've got 1, 2, 3 trees left to go. There's still a lot to go on this project. A lot. When you look at it like that, there's a lot. But the fact that those trees are done inspires me to just want to really crack on and get going with this now. And like I say, if I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, this only needs to be stitched on 1 Sunday a month, as example, if I sat there and said to myself, well, I just need to get 1 gate done or 1 lantern done, I think I would be more inclined to be like, well, I've done 1 lantern, so maybe next Sunday I'll do another lantern, and I'll sort of do it that way, so that I don't feel like it's the only thing I'm allowed to stitch on, because I do like a bit of variety in my life. But it's the only way that I can see I can push this over the line, and I'm looking forward to this being over the line. So there we go. So that is the whips. That is the whips that are moving over from 2023 to 2024. I know, right? Even I was like, oh, scary stuff. Scary stuff. Now, although I've decided that I'm putting a load of my whips up in the cupboard, there will be some new starts. There was only going to be 1 new start. But then thank you to Caroline, the Flosstube stitcher. I blame her totally for this. This is all her doing. In her latest plans stroke end of year video that she's just posted, I'll put a link to it up here so that you can go and have a little look if you haven't already. She is doing the 2024 Quaker flag sale. And of course, I saw it and was just like, oh, wow, I so have to do that. I did nothing more than purchase the chart. I've already decided that I think I'm going to use the Avera Schwa silks for mine. Yeah. It's a lovely Quaker type flag. I love the idea that globally everyone can do a piece, a flag of their choice, or a flag of their country, or if you wanted to sort of, show your commitment to a country, you could stitch one of those flags. Yeah, I love the idea. I love the concept. When I saw the flags and Caroline shared it with me, I was like, do you know what? I need a bit of that in my life. And for some bizarre reason, I think because the way the transitions of the colours go in this, it reminds me very much of my band sampler. So I'm thinking, well, it's not a band sampler, it is a Quaker, but I like the fade. I like the fade from colour to colour. So, yep, I'm signed up. I'm going to do it. Now, the start date is on the 26th of January. All of the details regarding the sale I will put in the description box below. The best person to give you guidance on how it all works and all the information is to go and see Caroline, the Flosstube stitcher. She's the one that knows more about this than me. I just have jumped on the bandwagon because I was like, oh, I have to do that. There is a Facebook group for the sale. Like I say, I'm not going to be doing this as a sale. I will be stitching it at my own leisure. Again, I think that this will be a great commute stitch, or maybe mindless stitch, because I can just pick a colour and run the thread and just do the stitching. That's how I'm selling it to myself in my head. Remind me of this when I sit there going, what have I done? I've decided that I think I'm going to go with either a white or antique white opal fabric, because I quite like the idea of a little sparkle in my life. And I think I'm going to go with a 28 count. So, and then with the Aberystwyth silks. So yeah, so haven't got all the stuff yet. Haven't got the fabric, haven't got the threads, but I do have the chart. So that will be a new start, starting somewhere around the 26th of January. Yeah. Thanks, Caroline. Admittedly, I'm not doing all the sales that Caroline's doing. If you want to see someone that's doing lots of sales being stitch alongs, yeah, go and see what Caroline's plans are, because mine look absolutely tame. In fact, mine are, yeah, hers are racy. She's got racy plans, but I love the fact that she's got racy plans. I just can't commit to racy plans. What else? Oh, another rabbit hole that I went down, and this is again, I'm going to blame someone else for it. It is the ladies at my Essex Needles retreat. There was a lady there that brought a finish in, and it was her daughter's, and her daughter did it, and it was huge, but it was adorable. Now, you're going to be like, Teresa, this is very unlike you. You're right. It is very unlike me. Whether I even complete it or complete one, I don't know. But I've got them because I think they're really cute. I'm just not sure whether I would stitch them or not. I am interested to see how it goes. So I'm it's a bit of trial and error here. You're wondering what it is. It is the Brooks Books Wonderland. Yeah. I can't even explain. I've printed every single one of them off. I've got all 12. Brooks Books currently has a bit of a sale on, and there is over a 60% discount on these. So I think for 12 of them, I think it works at £27 or something like that. So they're like £2 something. Yeah. Again, had no intentions of starting it, but then when the others were saying that they were going to start it, and I think the plan is that we're going to start it at the January stitch day. So I was like, well, do you know what? I can start it and see if it turns into something that is easy to stitch on the train, or just if I fancy something a bit colourful and a bit different. I've discussed and sorted out the fabric with Megan at Coffee Craft Fabrics. I think she's whizzing some of that up. There's quite a few of us that said that we was going to do it and actually bought the charts. So I'm going to see how it goes. I'll make a start on one of them. I'll pick my favourite one first. And then see what I think. Because, yeah. I think if I could get into them, they're so cute. So cute. So stinking cute. So that will be a second new start. That's the plan. That could change. Who knows? But that is the plan currently for what we're doing. I have decided that whereas I was sitting on the fence with this originally, I have decided that I am going to go with another whip go for 2024. At first I was like, should I? Shouldn't I? Have no idea. And then I thought, you know what? It's always worked before. And since it's on the same Excel spreadsheet as my actual tracking thing, I'm like, give it a go. Give it a go with a twist. So let me share with you what my plan is. So I have my 2024 spreadsheet all done and dusted with all of my projects worked out. Now, Everything that sort of looks like it's been greyed out, that's because that's all the whips that have been put away. They're in timeout. So it's not that they're not coming back out or that I've UFO'd them. They're not. My plan is that if I finish a fancy lady, fancy man, a mermaid, I then have the choice of picking another one back out from the cupboards. So everything that's greyed out are the stuff that's going up in the cupboards. And then everything else that is showing as available in the lighter colour is the whips that are moving forwards into 2024. So just easy for me to know which ones I need to be looking at. So also what I have done in the one on the website as well as my own is I have put a copy of my whip go board. Obviously it's not mine. It says in there type your project, but you can go in and you can change the number of days and you can change the whip if you would like that. As you can see, mine is I've given my categories. This is where I've done all my working out of what I'm going to do. February is going to be a full coverage February. I'm going to try and aim for that. May is going to be a mirror May. So anything that's mirabilia. Christmas in July is an absolute necessity. Sampler September and December, I'll be doing Christmas stuff. But yeah, this is just how I've sort of worked out my categories. So because I've done mine by categories, I've sort of done an array of stuff. So I've got my chatelaine on there. I've got my full coverages. I've got my samplers. I've got my Afghan. I've got fancy lady, fancy man, fancy whatever. I've also got winter Christmas because obviously I'm aiming to try and do ornamental things or Christmas type things, Christmas stitching throughout the year, but without sort of going crazy like I did this year. So I have that in there, but I've also thrown in a little organise. Now, when it's organise, I'm planning to do organise something in my room. Or if I decide that I don't want to do organise something in my room, it could be organise my whips. Now, when I say organise my whips, it is one of those things where I'm like, it could be organise threads, organise the drawers, organise the office, organise fabrics. Just something where I'm doing some tidying up, because I tend to find that if I make everything on my whip go board, everything stitchy related, all of the other stuff, such as the tidying up or the sorting out a drawer or, you know, hanging more threads, those sorts of things just don't happen. So I thought, well, if I include it in my whip go, there's no excuse. And although I'm saying it needs, you know, a day or 4 days of organising, I don't need to spend 4 whole days organising. It could just be 30 minutes across 4 days. You know, it could be that. It could be as easy as that. One of the things that I have decided is once I get a line, so when I say a line, I mean, so say for instance, I had all of those across the top that I've just highlighted. If all of those get called and I get my goal completed on a line across, my reward for that is that I will have the choice to do a whip switch. I know, it's sort of cheating, right? But it isn't, because I'm not pulling them all back out, but I can pick a switch. And the switch has to be, it can't be a new start, has to be a switch. It has to be an existing whip. If, say, for instance, as example, full coverage. So if I'm stitching on, as example, my wall shop, the one where I'm using the CXC threads. If I decide after I've got a line that I want to switch one of my full coverages, I could switch the wall shop, because I don't like working with the CXC threads, to Life is an Open Book that is up in the cupboards. And I can put the wall shop away and I can put Life is an Open Book into the rotation. So instead of my full coverages being Alternative Reality, The Wool Shop, The Little Princess Duck, and Deer Creek, The Wool Shop would then become Life is an Open Book. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chances of making 5 changes if I get all my goals complete. Now, if I don't meet a goal, so for instance, at the moment that says N, if I was to say that that was goal met, it will change to a different colour to tell me. If I find that I have got 3 out of 4 goals completed, but I didn't complete one, I would have to complete that goal to give me a line to allow me to do the whip switch. So yeah, there is method to the madness, people. Method to the madness. But that is it in a nutshell for me. That is what my plans are for 2024. I have a whip go board. I have my handy dandy spreadsheet at the ready. I have all my whips at the ready. The new starts, haven't got those ready yet, but we will be ready. I have a lot to look forward to in 2024. I've got some beautiful whips that I can't wait to get my stitches in on. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing with you all what I actually managed to get done in 2024 and just see whether these plans come to fruition and see whether, you know, by taking a big chunk of the whips away, that it makes the decision making a little easier, and to see whether this actually works. But like I say, I've got a get out clause. I've got plans with, you know, without the rigidity, but I've also got plans that allow for me to switch, and I like that idea. I do think the whip switch, but I have to do the whip go to get the whip switch, if you see what I mean. So it sort of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It holds me accountable. So that is my plans in a nutshell. I'm super happy. I feel like I'm in the right place. I have so much to look forward to in 2024. I cannot wait to get some stitching in. I thought I need to get this video up. I need to get the spreadsheet up onto the website for all those people that have asked about it. And yeah, and now is time for me to just spend a bit of time doing some stitching. So I wish you all a very, very festive season. For those of you that celebrate Christmas, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful new year. You may see me before then. If anyone needs a tutorial video on how to use the spreadsheet, let me know in the comments below. I will happily post a short video on how to use the spreadsheet and go into a little bit more detail, but only if people need that. I think it's self-explanatory. It's not that difficult, but I know some people like to see how it's done first before they download it and worry about getting all of their whips in it. But the offer is there if you would like me to do that. With that said, that's me waffling enough. It's time for me to go and do some stitching. Like I say, I wish you all a very festive season, a very Merry Christmas for those that celebrate Christmas, and a happy New Year. Roll on 2024. Until next time, people. Bye-bye for now.